All right, it's Monday, and you know what that means. It's the No Joke Comedy Podcast. I'm Brandon Speaks, your host. In the studio, we have Vivian returning for what's this, week 2?
Yes.
All right, welcome back. DJ Valence is in the house. We have a very special guest, a wonderful comedian, AJ Finney, and his lovely wife.
Hello. I'm special. You're just the wife.
Hey, like I said, I'm happy to have a fellow married man here. I'm a married guy, so now I got somebody on my side. But, well, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I was doing a little reading on your bio, and like DJ Valence said, the Grateful Dead comedian I thought was very creative.
Yeah, that kind of came from an obsession and being ahead myself, and that was what I'm assuming you saw was the secret Saturday night special shows where we have the guys in costumes and the hula hoopers. And, we had there was candy that time, and we had music playing and different strobe lights, and then we had a comedy show afterwards. It was really kind of trying to build a happening, like what the 60s happenings were, when you would go to a show and then something would happen and you go, this is real, but it's not real. The whole thing is set up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and it gets genuine reaction, and it's things that you remember no matter what. Like, you'll enjoy the comedy show, but there's other aspects to building. I don't know. You kind of encompassed into my world.
Engross yourself in the experience.
Yeah. And you leave going, wow. That was something special.
You're not just like sitting in a dark crowd watching somebody on stage.
No, you're a part of it. And I think that's really cool.
Oh, yeah. I dig that. Well, that's one thing I do say about comedy or any live, venue, concert, sporting events. It's that energy, that experience. Like, that's what you're going for.
Yeah, for sure.
Ticket prices may be skyrocketing, to get into a ball game, but it's still the best experience is to see it live.
Yeah, and if it's something that you're into, there's nothing that matches that. Like, it's that whatever it is you're obsessed about, whether it's sports, cars, music, the opera, whatever it is. If you obsess over it long enough and you go without it long enough, that time that you get to see it or experience it is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
It's like kind of getting that fix.
Yeah.
So you're kind of you are a fan of the 60s?
I'm a big fan of the 60s psychedelic scene, the art, pretty much everything about it, the culture and everything in general.
Okay.
I think a lot of good came out of it. I think there was a lot of bad stuff too, of course.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, the entire music and art scene that came out of that was just phenomenal.
Yeah, music especially.
Grateful Dead,
Neil
Young.
Whatever promotes creativity, like, I'm all for.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of creativity being created at that time.
Makes me think of like Bill Hicks talking about mushrooms and things like that, and how it expands his mind, and in fact, a lot of famous people experiment with that, and it seems to, I'm scared to death to do it, but it seems to help their career, help their expansion of their mind and their material.
Well, that's one thing I'll tell anybody, like, I got no problem saying that, I only do what's grown from the ground.
Yeah.
Weed and mushrooms. And if you're going to do something, I got no problem with experimenting. You got to know your limitations, but something about a mushroom trip, that's where you're walking that fine line of reality and non-reality, like, that kind of opens up your world where you may think of something a little bit differently than you would if you were just experiencing it sober.
Well, there's also an element of, and there's a reason that shamans and aboriginals were using them. Like, there's something out there. There's something beyond. I mean, because whether you believe it or not, I can only speak for what I think, but I believe that there are transcendental planes of existence happening simultaneously at any point. So what level are we at once you ingest these entheogens or whatever these mind-altering plants are? There's a moment where you just go, well, I'm in a different one right now. I am definitely not on the ground level anymore.
I'm not with everyone else.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had some amazing experiences on them. And I really am interested in trying ayahuasca, which is the most natural form of DMT. It's kind of like a peyote.
Okay.
And the most interesting thing about that is that it's found like in the Amazon, but it's like two different plants that do not grow together that these people had to find and put together to get this reaction. DMT is also unbelievably impressive because it's in every living creature, essentially.
Yeah.
We have it in our own minds.
You have it in your body.
That'd be a fun guinea pig.
What's that?
Try these 2 plants. No, that doesn't work. Try these 2 plants. No, that doesn't work.
Imagine
There's just one guy going, oh, and they go, I think that one worked.
I think that would work.
Well, it's like I say like the like aloe, for like skin irritation or whatnot or sunburns. Like somebody was walking around. I was like, oh, I've got this burn on my arm. Well, why don't you rub that on your arm a little bit?
This
that
cactus
thing.
didn't help.
Somebody was experimenting. You go, you know what? This works. Write that down.
Thank God they did, man.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just burn.
Fair-skinned people.
Oh my God.
It's like actually kind of ironic. My wife's on this. She loves Ancient Aliens.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Which-
I love Ancient Aliens.
I'm into it. I'm into it too, but
I haven't watched
she's
the
on
new
this big
episodes, don't
kick.
spoil them.
Oh well, okay. I
Not
won't.
that you can, but they're awesome.
I won't spoil nothing for you, but she's on this kick with one of the researchers. I guess she found out he's a huge like DMT. He takes DMT. I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh, it's not the Tukalos guy, is it?
No, it's Graham
You're gonna ruin
Hancock.
it.
Okay,
No,
okay.
Hancock is amazing.
Yeah, I guess
Is it-
he's
what is
like
it? Something of the. It wasn't Food of the Gods because that was Terrence McKenna. His book is phenomenal.
Graham.
Yeah,
I don't know the name of it.
Footprints,
Footprints
fingerprints
of the God. I
Yes,
think.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hancock's amazing.
I haven't read.
Does she
any
know
of
about
it.
Amber Lyons? Do you know about Amber? Amber Lyons. I could mess this up a little bit. Just some of her.
No, I don't think he might gonna call
I
you
don't
out
want to
on
fact check it, but I believe she worked for CNN, but it might have been Fox, and she was a reporter, and she blew the top off everything. She literally went, yeah, the government comes in and informs us what we are allowed to say and not say,
Wow.
and we're now filtered on what we are supposed to tell you. They kind of guide what news is informing
Oh,
us.
yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So, you mean there's a spin zone and O'Reilly's no
Yeah,
spin zone?
really.
That's really. So, and she went down to the Amazon and ate. And she went on an ayahuasca journey, and afterwards she just went back and she was like, I can't hold on to this anymore, and it's just let it go.
Wow.
And she's got a really interesting podcast, and she's on that line with like Duncan Trussell and Joe Rogan, and
Okay.
it's a certain level of these guys are doing things that are so expansive right now that
See, that's what we need more people like that are
Yeah.
actually going out, having these experiences, or having a experience, and just not being shy about talking about it.
yeah, and doing well and being honest about it. What I love about these guys, Amber, Joe, they'll all tell you how great they think that these substances are. They will also immediately tell you that they're not for everybody.
Oh yeah.
But the interesting thing about substances like iboga, I think, or ibogaine they call it, it's a plant also in the Amazon, and it has hallucinogenic properties, but it is 100% proven that when you ingest it, you just stop wanting or being able to get off on like heroin and amphetamines and things like that. So it just destroys your desire for addiction.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Wow.
But we're like, no, we
Yeah.
can't have that.
There's no use for that.
There's no money in healing
Yeah.
people, only keeping them to take the substances that we
want
want
to keep
give
feeding
them.
the machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got our coffee right here. I mean,
Yeah. Everyone's got their thing.
Everybody's got their thing. Yeah. Oh, my wife's a huge.
altering our consciousness.
My wife's
right
a
now.
huge coffee drinker,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't drink it at all.
Man, I need to meet your wife.
Yeah,
Like,
we can
be
arrange
best
that.
friends.
I don't drink it at all. But I have
know
to
it.
get up and I gotta make it, and then I'm holding it, and every once in a while, like I find myself just taking a drink for some weird reason when I know I don't like it.
Yeah. Is it the taste thing you don't care for, the bitterness, or?
It's just I've never been able to really get into the taste of it. It's
It's an
too
acquired taste.
it's
yeah.
too much for me. A little bit too much, too overpowering.
Are you the Red Bull? You like
No,
the Red
no.
Bull?
See, I don't do any energy
That's
drinks.
Are you a
or
Red
anything
Buller?
like
That's
that.
me.
Yeah?
Yeah, can't
Love
do
the
that.
Red Bull.
But I'll try it, and every once in a while I'll just take that drink, and why did I do that? And also, I feel like for some reason it's like this thing you have
Programmed in
to.
you, man.
When you become an adult, you start drinking coffee.
Oh, yeah.
And I still
Yeah.
so I've got that in my mind that
Yeah.
man, I have to start drinking it. Like I'm not going to be an adult until I start drinking coffee. So maybe somewhere down the line when I'm like 40, I'll start
Yeah.
drinking coffee, and become an adult.
Yeah.
But
Well, coffee was always so. Like I remember my grandfather had a thermos, and he would drink coffee. He was
that's
a
how my
mason
dad
worker.
did it.
And like that stuff, you could lay bricks with. Like it was so thick.
Yeah.
My sister and my brother-in-law spent some time in Costa Rica. They live down there.
Okay.
And they brought some coffee back, a bunch of
great
coffee. Yeah, everyone says
Fresh.
great coffee. Yeah, they brought a bunch of it back, so we had to stockpile of it for a while.
My sister roasts her own beans. Like
Really?
she gets them green and then roasts them herself. I mean,
My
that's
next
how
door
crazy hardcore we
neighbor
are.
he's big into the whole process of
Yeah.
making the
That's
coffee
it.
and where the beans coming from and
Yeah.
all
That's
that.
a brand new thing over the last 5 years. Like coffee now is starting to turn into almost like microbrewed beer. Like it's
Kind
got that
of.
same process, and people are like, oh, this bean and this, and you go, oh,
Yeah, it's like where this bean
fetishized.
came.
Yeah.
It came from here, and it was mixed with this one.
Yeah.
It's like you could almost write a book on just the process of coffee and the
I
different
bet there
times.
is one.
I'm sure that.
I bet there is. I don't know why. I was like, as soon as I said it, I was like, that was an asshole thing to say. You better know. And I was like, no, I don't, but I bet there is.
But like you said, it definitely does seem like it's
Yeah.
become this explosion of, I don't know, it's like it's new again.
Yeah. What's
all-
great, I think coffee is, I don't know, I love it. But
it's an altered state too. I mean, like what you're talking about, consciousness altering things. Like DMT and like mushrooms, they're up here. Coffee's maybe down here, and alcohol's up here,
caffeine.
And weeds over here.
See, I
you
wouldn't
know,
think
it's
something
all
like that
different
until
states.
some people like are really affected by just high amounts of caffeine.
Oh
or,
yeah.
Some people can't hold
Yeah.
their liquor, and some
Yeah.
people, they get high and just can't function at all.
yeah, well, I've been there. Like, who has
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever smoked marijuana, at some point, there's been a moment where you've not done it for a while, and then you've done it, and you go, oh, shit, like, where am this is not
Yeah.
working for me. God damn it.
Stepped
lock
over a
that door.
line.
Who the fuck is this? And you're locking the door, and people are knocking. You're like, you can't come in here. There's a war going on. And they're like, we paid for this hotel room. We're not sleeping out of here. This Vegas trip sucks. You go, oh, my friends they clearly did this to me. Then you got to blame them. But,
Oh yeah, always got to pass the buck off somebody else.
Yeah, that was my big
He pressured
problem.
me into
I
it.
always had that. I was never really that great with marijuana. I was always kind of spun into paranoia. I think it's the ADD.
Oh, I get paranoid on the mushrooms.
On mushrooms? you
Yeah, yeah. Well, just like in the beginning.
do? Oh no, that's the fear.
In
That's
the,
what I always call
in the
fear
beginning,
wave.
I'm always the guy like looking out the window and kind of going to the other window. It's like, I don't like what's going on here.
Oh
And
yeah.
I kind of get over that little
That's what
hump.
that is.
I get over that little hump, and it's like, all right, I'm
You
good
think
now.
you're freaking out? Imagine the people looking in your window at you. Oh, he keeps looking at us.
Well, it's just like when you trip around people that aren't tripping,
Yeah.
it just freaks you out.
Oh, it's
Oh, yeah.
bad.
Because you feel like you're doing stuff that they don't understand, and then they're looking at you like, God, I don't understand what this
Set
guy's
and
doing.
setting. That was
Yeah.
the big thing that Leary and them pushed, during the 60s, during the acid thing. Everything was set your intentions and make sure the setting is proper. Otherwise, it could be... people call them bad trips, but McKenna or some other grounds during a study, I love the term, they call them challenging experiences.
Yeah.
These are the ones we're going to learn a lot about.
Yeah. Went a little south. I had to kind of get creative.
This is a perfect conversation for 420 right now.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I know. I
my
keep
goodness.
forgetting that.
Yeah.
People have to remind me. I don't need a holiday to tell me to smoke. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not big into that. But my wife was saying something about like the festivals going on in like Denver and whatnot. That would be cool. Where you can
That
actually
first year was
wow,
out of
yeah.
control.
get away with it. Yeah, and you're in this huge mass of people just getting high. I'd love that.
I'm still not.
It's too much.
I mean, I've been sober for a little while, since 14, I guess.
Yeah.
But sometimes I would have weird reactions to smoking it, but then
Colorado's just-
eating it. Like, I was okay with edibles.
Well, that's the one thing I'm noticing about this, since it's really become legal, is the overdoses on people eating it.
Yeah, because you mess up.
Well, that's one thing I think people should tell you, like, before going into it. Like, hey, if you're eating it for the first time, like, you need to know, like, it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah, you gotta
and you're
use
going to
it.
get higher and higher as you
Oh, yeah.
digest
Yeah, once it
this.
starts, you're going to go, well, this is uncomfortable, but it's all right. Oh,
Once it kicks in.
no. That's it.
Well, I did the half brownie at that show in Colorado, and then I was like, oh,
She's like,
I can
oh,
eat
this
the
is
other.
only
This
the
is
rest.
I
only
eat the other half.
Man,
She threw up at the bottom of the mountain. She was all
yeah,
partied out.
I was super partied out. Like Colorado was just there.
And that was
too much, man.
we'd seen
There.
Further at Red Rocks, which was one of the
Too much.
incarnations of the dead, and I think it was night 2, Friday night, and it was
Yeah, I was partied
It was a
out. I've never
confusing
been so
night
partied
anyway.
out, you
like the
know?
band had went on a jam that was I was
40
mostly
minutes
sober
long.
because I was
Yeah.
driving, and I was like, I don't know what is going on right now.
Mostly.
And other people were just out of it, and I was like, oh no, this is day 2. It's going to be day 3 before they realize they need to start calming down again.
Bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, everyone is becoming animals tonight.
Oh yeah, the first time I ate it, I was in high school, and I ate it before I went to school.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was just like it was a little triangle. You know, I bought it off of a guy the night before, and I crammed the whole thing in my mouth, chugged some milk.
So like just a brownie?
Yeah, just a little trial. I think it was like a little 8-inch pan. I had one little slice. You know, I ate it, and I walk into school, and I'm asking my friend, like, you know, hey, do I look good? My eyes all right? Like, do I need to buy these? He's like, no, man, you're good.
So you're great.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm the fire extinguisher.
By third hour, I mean, I'm just fiery red, and I'm just, you know, sitting in class like, I can't be here, I can't be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I left class like early a couple of minutes, and apparently the teacher asked the guy I was sitting next to, like, you know, what's wrong with him? He had to tell him, oh, he worked late. But I did the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
got late in the day. We left school, tried smoking a little bit more on our way to Springfield. I started gagging, coughing,
Ugh,
like dry
yeah.
heaving out the window. It was like too much.
The fear.
Yeah.
Way too much.
See, I did it a long time ago. I mean, all I remember was thinking, like, having to remind myself over and over, pot can't kill you. Pot can't kill you. No matter how bad it gets, pot can't kill you.
Yeah, the
Like,
anxiety. Yeah,
so, yeah,
gets to you.
I think I'm done with that. I think I'm good, but yeah.
I've never eaten it.
No?
No, I'm the 2-hit wonder. I
Oh,
take
yeah.
2 hits and I'm done.
Do you
See,
have
I can-
native blood in you?
No.
You Native American? No? I'm not trying to
My
be rude,
mom-
but you do have like cheekbones in the lips.
My mom is part Japanese, part African American.
Oh,
So-
man, you're lucky I'm married. Like I've never had.
No, that was the right mix for him. You
I'm
just had the
just, I'm
right
just
thing.
saying, like I've never had that type of coffee. Is what I'm saying. That seems spicy to me.
Oh, that's good.
Awesome.
Well, there
Well,
you
this is a
go.
good time to tell you that I'm the stripper that's on the show, too.
Let's just fucking hang off. Oh, that's great.
Pry it right off.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the in-house stripper for the last 2 weeks, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
lending her expertise.
Before we had Sugar, now we have Vivian, and that's a standard of our show. We need a stripper at all
seems to be.
times, I think.
Another thing that I noticed is Volkswagen fan.
I'm a big Well, yes.
I just bought my wife a Volkswagen.
Now, is this a modern Volkswagen? Is
Yeah.
that- okay.
2006 Volkswagen Beetle convertible, but
Okay, so it's the
it was her dream car from when she was in high school, when she was a teenager. So she
But
wanted
she-
the old Bug.
Like she wanted the olds, the originals.
That
the
was
air
yeah.
kids.
That was what her dream car back then, and it
Why
just
didn't she get the old one?
that would be a good question for her. Yes, we were on our way to a doctor's appointment one day to get some results, mind you.
She hit her head and
could have
changed
gone
her
either
mind?
way.
Oh, okay.
And we passed by the car lot on the way out of town, and she sees it, and it's, hey, can we go look at that? Oh, all right, we can go look at it. Hey, can we test drive that? All right, we can test drive
Ah.
that. Hey, can we buy this?
Wow.
So then I went through the process of buying it. So
How
yeah.
is it? How is it?
It's nice. I like it.
I
Have
think
you had,
they're a
have you
lot
had
bigger
maintenance
than-
issues?
No.
No?
We had to replace the battery. But
Well, yeah, but I mean
Yeah.
that's
That's
yeah, it had
not
been
big.
it had been sitting for a while,
Yeah.
but no.
wow.
We actually got it off of a woman that had like 14 vehicles and tons of money, so she drove this thing like maybe once a month if the sun, if it was warm, if the sun was out and all
Wow.
that. So there was only 20,000 miles on it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
What?
2006.
That's beautiful. I love
Almost a
Volkswagens.
10-year-old car.
I mean,
That's
and
crazy.
I know. And like let me tell you this. I didn't go, easily into this. Like I didn't
Yeah.
want no Volkswagen.
Yeah.
why?
We hadn't talked about it. I don't know. Look at me. I'm 6'4". Like I don't fit in it very well. For one, like I get up to the stoplight and I gotta go. All right, light's green, and then get back up and drive. I'm always like, man, I can't see out of this thing. But I'm finally like easing into it, getting a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
But she's adorable driving it. She looks
Yeah.
adorable. Like she fits into it. She loves it. But I like it now.
Yeah, I love
Convertible?
them. There's something, I don't know what it was, but there was always something in my heart that when I saw them, I wanted them. And when I was a real young boy, I liked this yellow Beetle that a babysitter of mine had. And I can still remember the way it smelled. You'll never not smell those Volkswagens. Like they have a maybe it's
Just
asbestos,
old
I don't
cars.
know what it is. But there's something. And then my love of Volkswagens is more air-cooled. than the water cooled. It's like everything kind of changed at 84. I think it was 84 plus in the buses.
So it was
they
the
went to water cooled.
knowing someone close to you that had one. That's kind of what it
You
did
can
too.
still find them. I mean, mine. I got it last year. I think I've almost had it a year. It didn't quite run. I got a really good deal on it, and I have a 1980 VW bus. It's the first year they went from changed the style to what they call a Vanagon, where it's a little square.
Okay.
And it's a little bit more roomy. It's got a 2.0 flat pancake Porsche style engine in it. And as I tell you all this, before I know nothing about mechanics.
Oh yeah, now you do.
It's beautiful. It's taught me so much. I feel like I'm growing because of the vehicle. Like literally, like I'm becoming way more patient in my life because that's just how that is. Once you drive it, you go, this doesn't go very fast. The first time I took it out on the road,
now you're that guy.
3 miles down the road, and it just started backfiring. And I don't know if you've ever seen an air-cooled vehicle backfire.
At
Never
night.
have.
Oh.
Yeah, she was
And
having
you're
a panic
sitting
attack.
on top of the gas tank at the time. Oh my god, it's
It
scary.
shoots a fireball.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Boom.
If it
Yeah.
was to suck back into the exhaust, we just explode.
Yeah,
And I'm just
yeah.
like, just calm down. Just calm down. It's going to be fine. It's
Play it cool.
Boom! And I went, just calm. It's going to be goddamn gas tank. And I'm like, this is the fucking worst day of my whole life. And I'm just going, come on, baby. It'll work. And I'm like, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the van. It took us 45 minutes to drive it home because we had to drive it home at idle. I couldn't get on the accelerator.
Going up these country roads, up and down these hills.
It's a bunch of stuff we found
Were
out
you
was
regretting it
eventually-
at that point, or were you still like, this
Nope.
was a good idea?
Still never. I never regretted having the van or the bus. Sorry if there's Volkswagen people. It's just it's a bus, dude.
Yeah,
It's
they're
a bus.
They're picky about it.
So yeah, I've never once regretted it. There were a couple times at the beginning when I started replacing parts and then trying to turn it on, where I was like, ugh, just throwing my hands in the air. But I feel like it was. I don't know. I really feel like it was meant for me. This particular bus, because I mean I'd been looking for a long time. This one had sat for a while, and no one had bought it.
It was on Craigslist.
Yeah.
I mean, it was on there for a long time.
And the guy was heartbroken. Like, I don't think he wanted to get rid of it.
The guy that you
He'd
bought
had
it
a
off of?
kid. He had a truck that he sold, and he was like, "Yeah," he goes, "I don't understand why hasn't been sold." And in my head, I'm going, well, one, I think it's meant for me, but two, I know why it hasn't sold. You took a shitty picture of it. You put TLC needed. Like, that's buyer beware all over it. Like, we were the only people ignorant enough to go, I gotta see this beauty. And I mean, the look on
I'm
his
still
face, when
willing
he
to
was
take
like-
a look at it.
He was just like, I was a week away from my wife, just going, just pull it and put it in the van. And here I go, hey, can I look at it? He's like, yeah, you can look at it.
It's close.
Yeah.
It's close.
Yeah.
So, and it's almost road ready now. Like, it's been, I don't know, it's been
been
so
a
much
journey.
fun.
Yeah.
And, but I feel like, not to sound sexist, but to me, the Volkswagen is a lot like a woman in a way. Like, it's slowly revealing itself to me. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know
I get that.
everything.
So what are your plans with it?
To get in every possible crevice.
Oh. Well.
No.
Just like a woman, yeah.
I get on top of it.
My plan now is to see if I can embarrass everyone in the room. No, my plan is first I just want to get it running, and like now that it's running, I'm going through and making sure it's safe for the road. Then mine is not a pop top, so it doesn't have the camper capabilities, but it does have a roll sunroof, so it's easy for me to make the conversion. We're taking it to festivals this year. I'm hosting 2 festivals. One is down in Mulberry, Arkansas. It's called Highberry. It's a 3-day festival over 4th of July. Thank you. Keller Williams, Railroad Earth. It's going to be a great time. The Schwag's there. And I'm doing another one in Leavenworth, Kansas around Labor Day or Memorial Day week, and I can never remember those two.
Is it September?
I think so. Yeah,
That's Labor Day.
Yeah,
Labor
Labor
Day.
Day.
Yeah.
I can never remember those two either.
I always mix them up. I go, I don't think that I was in school, or we were either getting ready to go back, or I was just whatever. So I'm hosting another one called Green Eggs and Jam, and that's going to be a lot of fun too.
Green Eggs and Jam.
So taking it to festivals, trying that out, and then I want to do a couple conversions to where I have a podcast actually that's going to launch. Not to use this as a thing, but
Absolutely, man.
I have a podcast called That's My Band, the Soundtrack of Our Lives, and I talk to people about music and their journey through life, using music as a catalyst to kind of look at their steps through life. It's been fun. And I want to use the Volkswagen kind of as a studio so that I can record it in there. Because then we can talk about the bus. And they, I'll have some comics on there just going, what are you doing living in this bucket?
Yeah.
Because that's another thing
That's
I
a
thought
good idea.
Los Angeles passed a rule recently that you can now legally live in your vehicle. So, what's that?
I said, oh goodness.
Well, now that was offensive, my little sugar drop. Oh, good. Oh, God. I've got a friend, Matt, that always, oh, God. What's wrong with living in there?
I don't think so. I just did not know.
That one caught her
that
off
was a
guard.
thing. Like,
Yeah, well, it just passed.
oh my gosh, now we can live in our cars? Thank God.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to live in my car.
Finally got it!
You know what I've realized a lot about my life is that my dreams and desires are so far away from most people.
From
It's
what
like,
other people want.
yeah, like it's like everyone is like, I want to have a career and a family and build this thing, and I'm like, that seems neat, but how can I also do it and live nomadically like a gypsy? Is that possible?
Well, then you definitely know you're going after something you want rather than something somebody else wants.
Yeah. So it's finding relatability, I think, in my career choice is also an issue. I've already had that. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't eat ass and drive around in a van? What the hell are you?
You haven't done that kind of stuff
Come
before?
on! You were naked in the
Yeah,
grocery
yeah.
store at 16?
Where have you been living?
You under a rock or something?
I guess let's bring that around. What got you into comedy? Where did your journey in comedy start?
Actually, I think it started when I was really young. I come from an Irish family. It was always drinking and chatting. Like, everyone was storytellers in my family. I had a deep love for Robin Williams at a very young age. Mork and Mindy I just fell in love with as a kid.
Was that the first time you seen him?
During Mork and Mindy?
Yeah.
That's what I can remember, as a kid. And Live at the Met, which was an early HBO special, I remember. The interesting thing about that was there's some sort of magnetic connection to me in Boulder, Colorado, and I don't know what it is.
Because it's beautiful.
It could be.
Yeah.
But Mork and Mindy that's where it was filmed. The Mork and Mindy house is in Boulder. It's still there. I have pictures of it in my phone.
Wow.
Did not know any of this until later on in life. But then I was 21, and the first time I ever took a trip by myself. I was just like, I'm just going. And I was in Emporia, Kansas at the time. I lived in Leavenworth, and I was like, I'm already halfway there. Like, I'm already halfway to Colorado. I wasn't, by any means. And I was really far away.
But you were committed.
Committed. I just got in. I was on 70. I was like, this is easy. I just don't turn, and I'm going to be there. And my parents were calling.
As long as I don't get worried about
where
what
are you
I'm
going. I was
doing.
like, I'm on that road again. I was like, I'm taking a Willie Nelson trip, man. I know. And my dad was like, if you need money, you let us know. And I was like, how much trouble do they think I'm going to get in? And quite a bit, actually. It was great. So I got into Colorado, and I stopped at a gas station. I asked this guy, I was like, where should I go? I'm just here. I've never seen the mountains, so that's my plan. And he goes, you should go to Boulder. I was like 21. He goes, he goes, everyone's really cool. You'll probably find a place to sleep. Just don't give anyone money to buy you marijuana. They won't come back. And I was like, oh, well, that's
a great piece of advice.
Yeah, I was like, what? This guy trusts me. Like, clearly, I'm not here from corporate going, I was just here to check. You are being tested, Jimmy. So I went to Boulder. This is the first trip I've ever taken on my own. I was in the truck. I had just bought the Hooray for Boobies was the name of the CD. It was the Bloodhound Gang.
Bloodhound Gang.
So I had just bought that CD. That was the only thing that I had that worked through western Kansas and eastern Colorado.
Oh, man.
So for 6+ hours, I just heard that. Anyway, I had a little Ford Ranger. I get to Boulder, kind of excited. I can't see anything because it's dark. I can smell it, though. Like, there's a smell of those red rocks, and it's just unbelievable in the mountain air. And I have no concept either of like altitude sickness or you should be hydrated. This is going to change the way. None of that. I go to a bar and commence to get blasted. I mean, hammered. Then I picked up 5 hitchhikers because I had room in my truck. Why not, right? I put 4 guys in the truck, and I put the girl in the front of the truck because I was like, I could take her.
Yeah.
Like, that was a weird thing. In my head. I was like,
Smart choice.
I can take her. These other guys, I'm not a tough man. So we go to a party. Now I crash a birthday party who I don't know, and people are like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm the driver from the truck. And they're like, oh. And they're just letting me be on the couch. And I began talking about my infatuations with acid and all this other stuff, right? And this guy shows up in full bike attire, like street bike, not motorcycle. Like he's got a helmet and cleats, and I believe he is
Shorts.
on acid. And that's where it got weird, because I think it was his party. And I was just hammered drunk. And he goes, oh, what's up, Jerry Garcia? And I was like, this is getting aggressive. And he goes, oh, you think you know about acid, huh? And he's just like chopping a pizza, like one of those Tony's pizzas, but he's coming down hard with a knife. And it's just like, you think you understand it? I'm like, yeah, I think I should leave, I think. And he's getting close, like too close in my bubble to be yelling, and his breath was like minty. He had eaten a mint or something. I'll never forget the smell of the mint that he was eating. If I smelled it today, I'd probably quiver a little, like, because I just remember going, "Oh, that's the last thing I'm going to smell before this guy kills me." Like that's the smell of serial killer in my brain. And so the one guy that was nice, that was kind of cool to me, he was like, "You can stay in my basement." I was like, "I think I've had about enough. Like, and he goes, "Oh, I got a place." He goes, "No problem." And I was like, "Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is drive up to the mountains. And I'm going to pass out, and then when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I'll see is the mountains." And he goes, "Actually, it's a weekday. You could probably do it." And the Flagstaff Mountain area in Boulder, it kind of goes up if you've been there. And he goes, "Just pull over somewhere, and the cops aren't going to bother you because they're not going to think anyone's up there partying. You'll be fine." The higher up I got in elevation, the iller I became. Like, I was getting like more and more drunk. And I was going, I don't understand. To the point of pulling over and like kind of puking. And then I just pulled over at one point to the side of the road and passed out. Like, I was just done. And when I woke up to hearing like chains and grunting, like, and I was like, what is happening to me right now? And I'm just sitting here. And so I kind of peeked up, and there's a biker like going up the switchback. And I was like, oh. And then I looked to the left, and it's just the Flatirons of Boulder, and it was the most beautiful thing. It's in the top 5 things I've ever done in my life. Also, the smartest thing I've ever done in my life was go out the driver's side. Because if I'd have walked, like just crawled out of the passenger side, I'd be dead. Wow. Like, I would have just I pulled over so close to the edge, and just got out and was like, that is so beautiful, and just vomited. Vomited. And I walked around, I got to see it, but I was so like altitude sick that I had to take in all of the experience of Boulder that I could, and I was there for maybe 3 hours, and I began driving home, and I immediately had to leave. So just to try to get better, I went back to Emporia and commenced to do other drugs with people that I knew
under more tolerable conditions.
There was no pizza knife minty breath guy dragging coming at me.
Nobody threatening you.
Right? Remember me? I'm the fucking tow truck driver essentially this evening, and mint dragon.
But
anyway, so I think I digressed.
That's a great first experience to Colorado.
Something about Colorado has always attracted me to it, though, and I keep going back. And my wife and I have gone. There's really something there that I feel at home.
Yeah, it's
Me
weird.
too.
Like, do you feel the same thing?
Well, I'm from Fort Carson. That's where I was born.
Oh, wow.
And I lived back and forth from here in Colorado Springs for like 10 years.
Okay.
So
I put down to
really
this.
have that
love
connection.
it there.
Yeah.
The Springs?
Manitou Springs is my favorite.
Manitou's great.
Yeah.
But Colorado Springs is a little, like, from Denver to Colorado Springs,
way different.
there's a way different mindset.
Yeah.
I just thought everything Colorado was Colorado, but there's a lot of gun-toting right-wingers.
Castle Rock's different.
Castle Rock is maybe the most different.
Yeah.
That is what I've heard, and it's getting better or worse
Pueblo's
depending
different,
on what you say.
Fountain's different. All of them
Yeah.
are just different communities. in
Pueblo's
one state.
really affordable to live in.
Fountain's not. Not by any means.
But that's what somebody had told me because I was trying to get out there at one point. He goes, "Go to Pueblo. It's like super dirt poor.
Yeah.
Like it's cheap. You can, I think, maybe still see the mountains, and it's 45 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe to Colorado Springs.
I think it's a little bit closer than that. I think it's
Is
about
it?
half an hour.
Okay.
It's pretty close. Not as far away as Denver is.
Oh wow, yeah, because Denver's about an hour, something like that. It's a beautiful area. I really like it out
It's a beautiful state.
there. And I I wholeheartedly support their choice to legalize marijuana for recreational use. And I'm glad their economy's doing so well, but like it's now getting to the point to live there it's really difficult. Like it's almost getting to the point of like New York and Los Angeles. I mean, and their economy's blowing up. It's great money and there's work there, but
It's expensive.
I don't want to like a room you used to be able to get for $350. Now you're paying a minimum of $7. Like it doubles that quickly.
Yeah,
It's just-
I was up there for, what was that, 2007, for a brief period of time.
Oh, were you living up there?
I tried to, yeah. Didn't work out the way I
Why?
wanted it to. I went up, a friend of mine that I went to high school with, he moved up there because he got a job.
Okay.
And we had a couple other friends that lived up there.
It was in Denver?
Yeah,
Okay.
they were already up there in Denver, and then he moved up there because he had the job and was getting a place. I just hated my job, had some money, was like, screw it, I'll move with you.
Yeah.
Went up there, found this apartment with this girl. Bad idea.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, terrible
Yeah.
idea. That's kind of the reason why some of it didn't work out. But shortly after I got up there, a friend of mine back here, his wife passed away. She had cancer. And I come back for the funeral, and I spent most of the money I had saved up between gas there and gas back. And
Yeah.
having fun, the first couple of weeks I was up there looking for a job and all that. So it was a great experience. I definitely, like I said, learned how beautiful it is.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'll live there. Not a fan of the cold, but I'd love to get back.
We just
Oh,
went up
I
the,
love
It's such
in the
a-
winter this year.
That's
I've
where
never
we
seen
spent
the
New
winter.
Year's,
I
was
was like,
in-
Yeah.
Field.
See, I didn't
It's
really get
cold.
to see winter,
Yeah.
so and I probably wouldn't have
Summers
wanted
are
to.
hot, dry hot.
Yeah.
And the winters
Yeah.
are cold, but I don't think they get as cold as they do here.
It's the moisture. It's the
Yeah.
humidity. Like
Yeah.
the
It's not
dry,
the heat,
the
it's
dry
the
air and stuff there. I
humidity.
mean, it was bad.
They get
We
like
were
3
we
feet
did 3
of
nights
snow.
of string
Yeah.
cheese for New Year's in
Really?
Broomfield,
But people know how to
and
drive
one
it.
night that we went, it was
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
30
yeah.
below.
And
They're
they
not- you
plow
know,
and
But we
shit.
still weren't like
Yeah.
it was bad. You had to put something over your mouth to breathe, so it because it would hurt because it was so
Right.
dry.
Yeah.
But I feel like if it was here and it was 30 below,
I still do that.
it'd be brutal. Like I
Yeah.
just feel like that it would be a lot
And we get
different
ice
here.
here.
Oh, the cold
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
bad.
So
here.
much
It's so,
ice here.
Yeah.
terrible.
It just struck me how quickly things could change up there. On one side of the mountain, it can be doing one thing. On the other side, it's completely sunny.
We
and
were camping when we went and saw further, and like we came back and it was just like
Snow.
raining, snowing, type
Yeah.
shit, and we were just like,
Yeah, it was bad. We couldn't get. We were trying to get a bonfire started because my
Yeah.
buddy was.
he's partied out.
Yeah,
As he
Partied
petered out.
Yeah.
no, he was holding in there, but he was just eating dose every day. Like he got a
Yeah.
bunch, and he was just
Yeah.
like one day we had a really great day. It was like a weird, and I love the dude to death. He was like the bad kid in the family, like the black sheep in a way of us three, because we were having a great day. We just went and did laundry, like at the place, and getting cleaned
Yeah.
up and getting ready to figure out what we were gonna do. And I noticed everything changed when he goes, "Well, I think I'm just going to go out and eat some dose now." And I went, "Okay, here we go. Again. You've eaten it every day." And I know part of
Take
that.
a day off.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
he hears it, I know part of it was internally. I was like, I want to eat the dose. Like, I know that. I know that. But I had to drive, and I can't have my car turn into a spaceship when I have my wife and another... Well, not another, but one guy that's already turning into some sort of transcendental animal.
Yeah.
So
like I said, I had a good time up there. I got that.
I love it. I really, if it's a hard decision. I know Los Angeles is where I have to go at some point. It's like everyone's like Los Angeles, New York. If I can, like, if I buy property, if I could afford it, Netherlands, I think is where I would want to be.
Really.
Yeah, which is
Colorado is like, it's not an if, it's a when.
yeah.
It's
like there's a soft spot in my
we
heart.
will be there
So
at some point.
That's something me and my
like,
wife talk about. It's like, we know kind of where we want to go. It's just a matter of
when.
when
Yeah.
we're actually going to move
Yeah.
there.
I think it's like you find it's almost like a tribal living, like in the sense that you find people that have such similar mindsets,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they don't look at you as weirdos. Like
Yeah.
when I go, when I say something about DMT and I'm like, yeah, or like meditating, and I'm like, I can get off on meditate. Like I'm now finding ways that I can hallucinate with meditation, and that's what I should be forcing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that feels good to me.
See, that's one thing I'm kind of more of a subscriber to is you don't need the drugs to
Yeah.
reach those states
exactly.
of consciousness.
I've not figured out that you're 100% true on that. I think that's 100% factual. You don't need it. I just found out about something called shamanic breathing that I'm trying to look at, where you can do it. It was a guy that had studied LSD in the 60s, and he had like a camp for, I think it was acid therapy or something like that, where they would take it, and I don't know. I don't know all of it, but I know that he came up with a way to breathe that induces these transcendental experiences or whatever. And I'm kind of interested in that. But I don't know. I don't have enough facts to push this yet. And if I could get someone to fund the experiment, I would love to find out.
To do it.
But I think our bodies have DMT in them. Yeah. Like when we have near-death experiences, that DMT is released so that we are easily let go. So, you know, we relax and kind of move on. When we take hallucinogens or something like that, and we go into like a trip state, DMT is being released at some point, I believe.
Yeah.
So I think that these all the plants or whatever drugs are really just catalysts to release the DMT.
What's already in
So
you.
whatever it is we're taking is really just a way. It's like our brain is the vine, and then whatever we're taking is that root to make that ayahuasca work.
Okay.
I don't have facts to back any of this up right now, but it's a theory in my head that no chemical compound can actually do anything to us unless we want it to.
Unless you actually wanted to.
You know, it's like some sort of weird thing. I don't know. I think it's possible though. You know, because there was Maharaji, I think was the person that Richard Alpert or now Baba Ram Dass was the guy. He was eating a lot of acid with Leary in Harvard, and then he went over to India to study with to find a guru and see what they were about, and he gave, I think it was Maharaji, a lot of acid, like a lot. And he talks about it in his documentary. Like, he ate it, and he goes, I've been eating this a lot. And he goes, it blew my mind. This guy was so balanced. Like, he literally told him, he goes, I want to try some of that. And he gave him a few. And he goes, nothing. The guy had nothing happen to him. And it blew his mind. He goes, this stuff, he goes, he should have been gone. And some of his reasoning was that he's self-disciplined himself, that he just lives in a state of bliss where his body, he's just in a DMT state constantly. So this this dose is doing nothing to him.
Yeah, it's like a cheat sheet.
It's a cheat code.
Yeah.
You know, so you know the feeling you get when you beat Mario Brothers without putting in a cheat code?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Extreme satisfaction.
But man, sometimes I really just want to be like, what was that code again?
Yeah.
I really do.
Up, down, down.
Yeah, up, down,
right.
Straight to the chase.
Gong, bong. Think you got the cheat code again, Mom. So
It's extremely fascinating that you're into this stuff. Like,
I love it. I really do.
I don't meet too many people that can.
And it's, for me, it's not, it's, I think I was embarrassed about it for a little bit because it makes you sound, I had to find out how it didn't make me sound like a drug addict because I don't even use, like, I don't know that it'll always be like that.
Yeah.
I will say that. But right now I'm clean and sober. But I still am just as passionate about this as I was, you know, when I was using, maybe even more. Mm-hmm. Because when I was younger, I was just dosing. And I mean, losing it. Like, I was going to places and just going, oh, well, none of this makes sense. You know? And I really kind of think now, with my mind the way it is, I wonder what the difference would be. Like, I wonder if there is something internally that I could learn about myself, going at, like, taking this stuff in a responsible manner.
Well, see, when I was a kid, too, like, you know, I would hear Timothy Leary and think acid and think of acid head and all that stuff, and it wasn't until later that I realized that there was a method behind his madness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was very scientific about it, you know, and very methodical.
Yeah.
As far as studying.
He was, and he was also kind of a maniac. Like, well, he was he was a great spokesperson for it, and also kind of did bad things for it also, in the sense that...
it's kind of one of those,
yeah,
a little bit of positive, a little bit of negative.
He made that weird thing that I think... He was old enough maybe to know better at some point, but you start having so much fun that the research goes away, and then you go, let's just, fuck the authority, let's just get blasted.
Yeah.
And you can see that weird difference between him and Richard Alpert or Baba Ram Dass, because they were partners. And I think if someone hears this, and you can find me at ajfinney.com. You can send me an email or find me on Facebook if I'm about to say this is wrong. But I think Richard Alpert, who became Baba Ram Dass, was the only one that got fired from Harvard. Right? For giving mushrooms or acid, one of the two, to undergraduates for research after they'd been told not to. And I think that Leary jumped on board with that, and they both left because having him also be fired from Harvard was to look better on his edgy career. Right? But then you look at both of those people, and they did a lot of studies in like upstate New York at that house. And then when he went to India, like they went on two different journeys. Like one was still scientific and maybe the fun aspect of it, and then Alpert really went on a level of what it internally is. Can we learn? Yeah, the spiritual journey.
Okay.
I just thought that was really cool. There's a neat documentary on Ram Dass on Netflix. Sometimes it hurts your heart because the guy really cares about everything. And I mean, he had that stroke, and it's just anyway. But I started doing comedy in 03, and I had all that stuff, all the background. My parents were storytellers, and there was always people around telling jokes, cracking jokes, pulling pranks on one another. And then I had I came up in a small town. I didn't know anything about how comics or entertainers or musicians. I didn't know how you became that.
Did you watch much stand-up growing up?
Yeah, HBO's stand-up. Like I remember Bobcat Goldthwait. I can remember Richard Pryor. Like Richard Pryor, we watched. Weird Al's videos we watched. Carlin, we watched. Bill Cosby. Like, I remember being 12 and I got Cosby and Pryor. This guy gave me the tapes. And I would listen to those tapes every night. That's what I would fall asleep to.
Wow.
That, those old... Yeah, it's deep, too. Those old Mudbone. Like, this water's cold. Yeah, it's deep, too. Right? And I can remember, like, being a kid, and I was... like maybe fourth grade, I was doing Eddie Murphy's. What was it? It was he had a G.I. Joe stuck in his ass. Do you remember the bit? It's a bit where he's like in the tub with his brother or something, and he's playing G.I. Joes. He goes, "Here we go, G.I. Joe! Oh, into the cave there!" It's kind of something like that. And I remember doing it. And this kid, I cannot remember his name. I think it was Matt was the kid's name. He was so super religiously sheltered. That's the safest way for me to put it. So this kid, I would get him in trouble, but they knew him, so they would just yell at me, because all you had to do is go, "Shit," he would just start laughing. And that was the best for me, because I would go, "Shit, piss G.I. Joe in the butt," and he would lose it. Just lose it. And I think I found the joy of making people do stuff like that. Also, when we moved, I got picked on a lot when I was younger. So you had to find a way. I was never a fighter.
Trying to deflect it.
Kind of a pacifist. I was just like, when people would yell at me, I'm like, "Yeah, but can you run like me? Can you do that? Oh, you're real tough with your words and arms flailing, but can you say it way back here where I'm going?" And it was so bad.
Who was probably the funniest person in your life at that time?
Oh, man, my dad was always really funny. My aunt or my uncle. My Uncle Scott was just hilarious to me. Also, my Uncle Gordon, actually. Everyone in my family. My Uncle Gordon, always kind of reminded me of Robin Williams a little bit. He always had this weird cadence where my Uncle Scott looked a lot like John Travolta. Like, this is weird. These weird things in my image. I was like, I just grew up with these people that were not real stars. Like, they were just
the stars of your life.
Yeah, and my dad, when my dad was younger, he looked like Jim Belushi. And then as he got a little bit older, he started to look like John Lovitz. And now he just looks like Charles Manson. Like, it's a really weird thing to me. And he's just a wild individual. But my aunt Michelle, she used to tell me dirty jokes at Christmas, at the bar, because my grandparents had a bar in their house, and she would tell me these dirty jokes, and she was like, "Don't tell anyone," because of course not. I would be at school telling them,
immediately repeating them,
just racking them and embellishing them. Just go. My aunt told me this joke. Loving it.
Put your own little spin on it.
Yeah. So, and then,
now, so was that something you look forward to going back to school? Like, oh, I've got a good one. I know they're going to love this.
Yeah. No, I always did it. My mom also used to babysit kids, like, really young. I mean, my mom was 16 when she had me, so it was just, I was essentially a living toy at that time. And I was like, this baby really pooped. But, where do you take the batteries out of this screaming thing? But she would babysit all these kids. So sometimes since I was the oldest, I would just entertain the kids. And I can remember, this is embarrassing. It was Pee Wee Herman and Mr. T. Like that was the impression
that you did.
Yeah, and the interesting thing in my brain when I look at it as I'm telling the story now is that I clearly had some sort of concept of where funny was. Because it was, I'm doing an impression of Mr. T and Pee Wee Herman getting in a fight. And something in my small young brain told me that it's funnier if Pee Wee won. Because in the real world, there's no way that's happening.
Yeah.
Right? And it wasn't, I don't even remember any of the kids clearly understanding the grasp of my artistic reach.
Yeah. They weren't quite getting your art.
But they were just watching me go, I can't do the impressions. I just remember whatever. I pity the fool, and then I don't know what the impressions
really funny.
were.
I actually found this, it's like a little note piece of paper like this, and it has to be from, grade school. I don't know what age I was, but it's wrote on it, bits. Chris Farley's motivational speaker, the Matt Foley, like a Mike Tyson, and then a couple of things that I don't quite remember. But yeah, it was like my little list of things that I was going to take to school, and these are what I'm going to do, like if I get into the situation. And I could not believe it. And this is after I've gone to open mic probably, 6-7 times.
Yeah.
I find this little piece of paper, and I'm like, I was doing this back then. Just not even really thinking about it.
I used to do this at like work. I worked at a factory and stuff all the time. Like I would just go in and work, but I wasn't even doing stand-up. I just go in and work things out. Like I literally had a thing in my head where when I would go to work some days, I'd be like, well, what am I going to do today? Like that's, and I shouldn't say normals, but in my head it's like, I always segregate people between like creatives and normies. Like it's another thing in my head, but like, I don't think normal people do that. I think normal people go, well, I'm going to go to work. What do I need to accomplish today? And I'm like, well, what type of act will be happening today? Like, my whole life is some sort of bizarre television show that no one is giving a shit about. Right?
That's where I'm coming from, man.
That's definitely how I feel sometimes. I always feel like I'm just in the way. Like, I'm not contributing anything, I'm just in the way. That's how I equate everything.
Oh, wow.
So it's like sometimes... I don't ever... Do you feel like you have to be the center of attention? Is that... Do you feel like in any way you want it?
Oh, no, yeah, no, but I don't think I don't...
He had to look at his wife before...
Check, her eyebrows went up.
How do I think of it? And how do you know that I think of it?
But... It's just always been that way.
I never had that, like, I need to be the one that's, in front of everyone, making everyone laugh. It was just like, if I can do it, and no one else is going to do it, like, I'm going to jump on it.
Oh, no, I feel obligated. Like, there's a genuine burden that if it's quiet in the room, it's because people are waiting for me to say something.
Say something.
Like that's the burden that I've put on myself. That is why marijuana is sometimes painful for me. Like, and I finally realized that this year, because at the moment where I just want to be like, nothing matters, like just relax. But then when it gets quiet, I literally start to get paranoid and go, people are expecting you to say something. You're usually the life of this thing. Why aren't you saying? Now you're ruining everyone's good time. And so then I try to talk, and I'm like, ice cream is the issue. And then people go, what? And you go, fuck, now I'm just having an issue here. Nobody understands me here at Jiffy Lube.
Honestly,
right? It's like,
I can completely relate to that as a DJ, man. I'm always feeling like I need to be doing something, or if people aren't dancing or something in a restaurant or somewhere I'm DJing, I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, you take that obligation.
Yeah, and they're just eating. They don't give a shit. Like, but I think they should. I think they should get up from their table where their sushi is and
dance.
Start breaking it down. But so I completely feel you on that.
Yeah,
the sense of obligation and stuff, and it's cool to hear you say it.
Yeah, but I've had that long before I started doing stand-up. That's the bad part.
Well, I feel, like, we haven't had kids because I'm like, well, they're going to take all the attention away.
I don't know. Like,
I don't know how you'd feel about that,
So I had a couple questions, too. Like, what, when did you know that you really had something special? Like, as far as comedy goes? Like, I know there's probably some kind of threshold to where you go, okay, I'm kind of good at this. I'm pretty good, and then all of a sudden you go, okay, I'm good. Like, I'm
gonna quit my day job. Good.
Yeah, I mean, when did you know that? What made you realize?
I quit my day job in 2010, but there was a few things where I was starting to get work. Mm-hmm. The first 3 months of the comedy was maybe some of the most exciting and just tragic, also. My first time getting on stage was a big step for me, because as I said earlier, I grew up in a small place, so I didn't know how entertainers found entertainment. Yeah, this is the most ignorant thing, but I genuinely in my head kind of felt in some way that somebody from Hollywood would just see a person and go, "You were great. You're what we're looking for," and then you just get whisked away. And then once you're behind that television glass, you're not real. You know what I can't. There was no way to fathom how a person went from normal to that. Like, there was no. It's just like plan A, collect underwear. Profit. Like, there was no understanding of the thing. So it was very exciting to me when I found out they were holding live auditions. I'd had a relationship fall apart. I was a mess. And I heard that this club, Stanford & Sons, was holding open auditions for new comics. I had no idea you could just go at any time. I just heard about it. So William Morris Agency was looking for people. And there was also a weird ploy by me, if that's the correct word, to try to get a girl back in a weird way. Like, there was this weird thing where I was like, I'm going to do this. So I was trying to let go, but I needed something. Yeah. And so I was like, hey, I'm doing this open mic. It's something I've always wanted to do. Will you please come? And she's like, yeah, I'll be there if you're going to do it. In my head, I was like, all right. And for some reason, I needed that to push me. I was like, now I have something. Yeah, just to go through. I needed something. Like, it's like I didn't care about myself at all. Like, just there's this hollow void. But if it was going to please another person, then there was something I could do. And I was like, okay, well, this will mask any of the shitty things I did. And I was like, just come. And then so that gave me the energy. I was like, she's gonna come. And there's that weird thing that you start building over the next 2 weeks where you go, oh, we're gonna get back together. This will be. It's just dumb. Right? But you do that. That's what people do.
You go through that small
make
stage.
Make up this weird stuff where you go, my life will be better. I'm getting off this futon. Like, so I went, I was 40 of 40 comics on an open mic. Like, that's a lot of comics.
Wow.
And everyone's doing 3 minutes at their first time, unless they were one of the people they wanted to see for the William Morris Agency. Then those guys were doing 5 to 7. But I don't know anything about the industry. Nobody knows me. So I show up. I'm the last one. By the time I get up there, the show is gone now for almost 2+ hours. And I get up, and I've written this just diatribe rant. I don't remember all of it, but I remember it was just stream, you know. And there was a woman in the front row, and her face was just down on the table. She was just out. And I got up and I was like, "Hey, everybody!" And I started getting into it, and I didn't even finish the rant. I was like maybe halfway through the set, and she just kind of went, "Huh, huh, huh," and I was like, "What is?" And she just goes, "Huh, huh," and she didn't pick her face up. It just went, and I went, "So," and they were like, "Show's over," and I was like, "Nailed it!" Like, just. And that was my introduction to it. So I was like, well, I got to do better. I'll do better than that, clearly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to make someone vomit.
Yeah.
So
It's got to go up from here.
The next time I went up, it was a little better.
So that was the very first time you'd ever been up.
Time.
Wow.
Yeah, and the third time, it was pretty well. And then the confidence started to build. And the fourth time was the worst. I just forgot. Like, I forgot what I wanted to talk about. And a guy who I'm friends with now, he was doing the hosting that day. And he was like, this guy, we're really proud of him. He's doing really well. He's a real up-and-coming guy. So give a big warm welcome, A.J. Finney. And everyone applauds because you've been brought up properly. And then you go, and it, what, I'm going to come back next week.
I get a mulligan.
Just sweating, and the host went back up and he goes, "Remember when I said up and coming? I meant sucks." And I just went, oh. And it was the worst thing in the world at the time, because then one of the other comics just goes, "That was harsh," and I went, "I'm right here."
Yeah.
And that was the longest amount of time I stayed away. Like, that was when I realized I kind of wanted it, because I took a week off. I've been going every week, and I took a week off because I was like, I can't handle it. Like, no, everyone hates me.
Yeah.
And then I went back and I got some laughs, and that's when I realized, like, you're having ups and downs. Also, the beauty of the first show, besides the woman vomiting, the girl never showed up, and there was a beauty where I was able to just go, fuck her.
Yeah.
Like, that was what I needed to either
Perfect.
You know, either keep it going or let it go, and I was able to let it go. Yeah, so it was a lot of this through years, and then in 10, I think it was 2010, I did a thing in Las Vegas for a thing called the World Series of Comedy, and did a 7-minute set, and I talked to a producer, and he was interested, and then 2011 we recorded the album. And in 2012, that released. It was on Pandora. Did fairly well on iTunes, and that led me to my manager. And now I've got a manager, and we're now talking to an agent in New York. And so it's a lot of ups and downs. Like last year, I won Gilda's Laugh Fest, and I feel like through the whole thing, I still just hope that people enjoy what I do. Like, that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still enjoy it, and I just hope that sometimes I hope people get it. Like, sometimes my brain will get going so fast that I go, I don't even know what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, you don't know where you were really going with something. You
And
know you've got something, it's just, did it come out? That's what my thing is. Sometimes, did it come out the way I had it in my head?
Yeah.
And, you can understand it the way I'm trying to relate it.
Well, and I didn't realize until 07? It might have been 07 or 08 that I was doing anything different stylistically than anybody else.
Anyone else.
There was a guy named Zach in Oklahoma City, Zach Smith, who was a very funny comic. And he was emceeing a night, and I was middling. And he kept bringing me up by going, I love this guy's style of comedy. And it was bugging me that he was saying that. I was like, this guy's style. And I was like, okay, I got that. And then he'd go, I love this guy's type I love this guy's kind of, and all week. And I'm going, I'm just doing jokes like everyone else, man. And so finally at the end of the week, I pulled him off to the side, and I was like, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's bugging me. I was like, what do you mean my type, my kind of comedy you like? And he goes, you know. And I was like, no, that's why I'm having this paranoid fit right now.
I wouldn't be asking you this question if I didn't know.
Yeah, because I felt like everyone was in on some sort of joke that I didn't know.
Yeah, it's like, this is mine, and I don't even know. So
And he goes, you know, he goes, that stream, he goes, you run everything like a stream of conscious thing. It's all like this poetic streams of things. And I was like, I'm just doing what everyone else does. And he goes, you should record your stuff and listen to it, man, because you're not doing it like anybody. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I really started to pay attention to how my brain wrote and processed things. And yeah, I think
So you could-
Zach Smith in Oklahoma City was a big eye opener for me to actually internally go, maybe I have something that is me inside
that is unique to you.
Yeah.
So you can almost say like that is just what naturally came out of you, just trying to get up and make people laugh.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely just it's just who I am.
But
my
the actual
personality.
like thinking about it when somebody puts it as that's your style, like that does it trips you out a little bit.
Yeah,
I
I
can imagine.
Yeah, it bothered me because I was like, "What do you mean I'm different? Like I'm just a comic." Like
Because I get to thinking sometimes too much like, oh, you got to write jokes. It's got to be crafted. You know, certain people look at it like this, and it's like you get to analyzing it too much, and it's just like that's when I'm just like, wait a minute, stop for a second. Like, don't think about it so much.
Life has to be fun. So if that stops becoming fun and my passion stops becoming fun, then I'm not gonna fucking do it anymore, man.
So basically, I guess you could say you're in the comedy business until you're not having fun no more, right?
Yeah. So hopefully, if everything goes well, till I stop breathing.
That's the plan, anyways.
Yeah, until that final DMT is released.
Well, it's been I've enjoyed it. Like I said, got some
Absolutely.
definitely some good information.
This has been a lot of fun, guys. It really has.
Definitely some good stories.
Yeah, I'd love to come back and do it again sometime.
Do you have anything you want to plug? You got some shows coming
Yeah,
up?
actually, this Friday at the Classic Rock Coffee, I'm performing with Nick Griffin from New York. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're doing a 7:30 and a 9:30. If you don't know who Nick Griffin is, look him up. He's done Letterman like 10 times. He's one of my favorites. So you can find me at ajfinney.com, and you can find all my social media from there. AJ_Finney at Twitter, or however that works, Instagram, whatever.
And you said you got the podcast. Do you have
Do
an
you
idea
have a
when that's
podcast?
coming out?
All that can be found from the website at www.ajfinney.com. The podcast is linked through there. There's also a blog called My 1980 VW Bus, and you can see all the progress that we're getting because it's not road ready yet. So I'm actually getting ready to release a photo of it for the first time on Facebook because a lot of people are getting upset. But I want to see who can guess the name of it because I purchased it with a name already, so should be fun.
So you're keeping the name.
Gonna keep the name, and we'll see what happens.
A little old-fashioned, but I like it.
Yeah.
All right, I think it's been a good show. As always, we like you guys to, if you like the show, tell a friend, family, subscribe to the podcast. I don't know who we got on next week, but we'll be back next week. Thank you very much.
Woo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.